This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
Well, g'day folks. I did tell you I don't know where to look tonight. We're back on this camera alone. So there you go, getting a bit confused. I've got that camera, but that screen where I've got to go and watch things going around. And let me see if I can bring the two of them a little more closer together. And then we've got some interesting things happening on this screen too. Hello to everybody in the Rumble chat tonight. And for the few that have dared to see how long we'll last on YouTube, hello to all of you as well. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to be able to bring you a gentleman, well, that has coined a term and, grabbed it by the throat. Now, I just want to get this full explanation of what a cooker is. A cooker is a caring, observant, open-minded, knowledgeable, educated, and rational person. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Caring, observant, open-minded, knowledgeable, educated, and rational. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I give you this bloke. He is every bit of those things. But he is the king of social media. Would you put your hands together, stamp your feet, wave your coffee in your chairs at home for the man himself, Mr. John Wilson. How are you, buddy?
G'day, Carl, and g'day, viewers. It's a pleasure to be back with you all. I hope this war for humanity doesn't end too soon. By jingo, I'm having some fun. I'm having some fun, mate. What a hoot. Crushing all of our enemies. They're like cockroaches underneath our boots. It's lovely.
That's exactly right, mate. I have to say, I've got a big congratulations and a thank you to our fellow warrior who created this image that you're seeing at the moment. I dare say it is brand new, so across the next few days you're likely to see this spread across the internet, folks. It is a spectacular image. So that's to a certain warrior, better known to some as Joan of Arc, but she has many other names, shall I just say. Put it that way. She's done a tremendous job with that one. John, so I guess we should kick it all off initially with we've spent a bit of time together this week. We put together your video for Ricardo Bosey and Dave Graham in the Upper House in New South Wales. I guess your support of them is unequivocal. Your endorsement of them is 100%. So what sort of feedback have you had since it's been put out?
Look, Carl, that was a lot of hard work we went through, or you went through, for a miserable 3-minute clip. I mean, that was hours and hours and hours of work. So let me say to you that thank you very much for all your hard work behind the scenes in helping to assemble that clip. So far from the views that I can track, and there's a lot of others I can't track because that 3-minute clip has been mirrored and then re-uploaded elsewhere. But from the views that I can see in the last sort of 24 to 48 hours, or when did we do it? Yesterday, was it, that we got it together? So 24 hours, it's had 60,000 views. It's had 60,000 views.
Wow.
And the feedback that I've got has been overwhelmingly good and positive, and that's from all of those people who have seen the clip. But I've also been contacted by Ricardo Bosey himself and his lovely wife Rhiannon, and I've also been contacted personally by David Graham, and they have also expressed to me that they thought it was a great clip as well. So great feedback, positive. Numbers that have seen it have been in their tens of thousands. Like I said, I can only track it up to about 60,000 views. I've been made aware that our brother, freedom fighter, the Aussie Cossack, has also uploaded that clip onto his YouTube channel. So it's now got many more thousands of views via the Aussie Cossacks distribution, and I'm thankful for that as well. If the Cossack can hear me tonight, I'd like to say to him that being an old communist, I've always loved the Russian people. The Russian people have always held a special place in my heart, and I am a big time fan of the Australian choir called Dusty Esky from down at Byron Bay. If anyone has not heard of Dusty Esky, go to YouTube. If you haven't heard of them, Cossack, then you are missing out on one of the greatest men's choirs in the world who sing exclusively Russian folk songs. So the Cossack's got that clip. He's mirrored it. He's put it up on his distribution channel. So it's now going to get many more thousands. It was my pleasure to have made that endorsement. It was my pleasure. And I've made that endorsement without any, unequivocally, without any hesitation whatsoever. And I've done so because finally, within the Australian body politic nationally, finally, we've got two, and we've also got a third guy there who I don't know as well in Australia one. We've got a third guy, but we've got two guys who've got the right toughness, the right mental attitude, and they're going to business. They want to go about business, not to smooth over and tinker and fix things. They want to get inside the New South Wales parliamentary system and literally choke the living shitting life out of it and expose all of the fraud, and I couldn't think of two guys that can do a better job at that. So I'm proud to have made that endorsement, and I hope these guys are successful, and I'm going to be doing everything I can to see that they are.
Why do endorsements matter, John? I mean, is it a bit big-headed to think, oh well, we'll make a video and say pat these blokes on the head and think it matters? But I guess you've been endorsing candidates and all sorts of things all your life. Why is endorsing important?
Well, look, within the freedom movement and within the Australian population, we all know that it's carved up, and we've got a whole fruit salad of people out there from all different backgrounds and all different, configured in a lot of different ways. Now, the people, my family, where I come from, this is where I come from. I come from heavy industry, oil, gas, railroads, construction, mining, underground, open cut, and all of those people that I talk to and relate to are those big buffy boys, big strong lads wearing hard hats and high vis, and they talk very roughly, and and you need to talk their language. You need to be able to connect with those people, and you can't have someone that's got a light and polite voice cut through all of the noise and all of the static out there to get through to that sort of that component of the electorate. So I believe that my endorsement, and I don't want to blow smoke up my own arse and think I'm important, but there is a section of the Australian community out there that relate to who I am, where I've come from, and that's largely the rough and tumble, not blokes, the trucker, the train driver, the construction workers, the crane drivers, the dogmen, the riggers, the scaffolders, all of those lads. And I'm hoping that by adding my voice and my endorsement beside the likes of Aussie Cossack and several others out there, that we can get their attention and get them to focus on getting Dave Graham and Ricardo Bosi over the line. So, and I'm happy to do so.
Absolutely. I've been saying that people, even if they don't really, align with what Bosi or Dave Graham say or have said in the past, but they are very unhappy with the politicians that are currently elected, then this is an ideal opportunity to, rather than draw a dick on your ballot paper, to actually make a protest vote that will count. By using your vote as a protest vote to vote for Bosi or for Dave Graham, or both particularly, then make sure your preferences, flow that way, then that's a hell of a protest vote. And it's a gimme, because they don't actually, with the two of them, they're not going to be, creating policy or having to push power plays or all that sort of thing. But we will get two sets of eyes, firmly focused on the issues and the corruption in the parliament, and they will be the eyes of the people. They will be honest eyes. And I think that's really important. So even if you don't like what Dave Graham and Ricardo Bosi say or have said in the past, understand that they are just there for the good of all of us. And if you hate the Labor and Liberal politicians that have been rorting the system, have been corrupted, have been taking our children off us for so long, then make this a real protest vote. Vote in Bosi and Dave Graham. It'll make a huge difference in the upper house. It really will. I've got to say, old trade unionists, speaking out. I've seen any unionists coming out and speaking out. Yep, true.
Yeah, both of those guys.
So I haven't seen any other trade unions coming.
Mate. They're lightning rods.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. So I haven't seen any other unionists coming out, old or young for that matter. Why are you, being an old trade unionist, coming out like this?
Look, Carl, I am the only, ever since this war for humanities broke out into the public, for the last 8 years, I've been in the trenches fighting this full time, doing nothing else. Now, in the last 3 years, since the forced vaccinations have come into the equation, and the massive damage that's now been inflicted upon the Australian population, there has not been one single word uttered by any trade union, past trade union official and current trade union official in this country. I have been the only single voice from the trade union movement, and I am certainly the only voice from the left that has come out publicly and laid it all on the line, okay, to take it up and to fight these globalist forces off and to reclaim our country, our sovereignty and our safety. Now, the reason for that is that the Australian trade union movement in its entirety are a captive operation of Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum and the Vatican. They are a captive operation, and they are singing the tune of the globalists, of the World Economic Forum. They are in lockstep, and it's one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen the trade union ever immerse themselves in, and they're finished in this country, Carl. I want all your audience to understand this. The Australian trade union movement is finished in this country. They are never ever going to survive the blowback that's coming their way from the population of Australia for their massive betrayal of the union members and the people of Australia. They're finished in this country. They can't see the swinging door coming, and they're going to walk straight into it. But insofar as myself personally, me, my father, my family, brothers and sisters, we've been trade unionist all our lives, wherever we've worked. I personally have held the most senior positions in the trade union movement in this country, and I felt that I had no choice but to step up to the mark and lay it all on the table and to do everything I could to protect and my brothers and sisters here in Australia, who I love very deeply, and protect our country that I'm very proud of. I'm a very proud Australian, Carl. I am a very proud Australian. And there's no way in the world that I was going to stand back and allow this nation to go down the tubes at the hands of these stinking piss ants, mate, these globalist piss ants, who are nobodies. So proud to do it, and ashamed of the Australian trade union movement now.
They haven't looked after their members, much less the Australian people broader at large. A lot of people feel exactly the same way as you, John, but to the broader community, maybe not just focused at unions, but to governments in general. In fact, just over 12 months ago, we say over 1 million people turned up in Canberra and a freedom movement was born. So a lot of things happened that day in Canberra, a lot of things. And there are still repercussions from that day happening for some people in courts around Australia, particularly the ACT. So where do you think we stand now, 12 months after over 1 million people gathered in Canberra?
Look, I can't tell you the number of times that I've been involved in strikes and picket lines and big protest movements against government. I've done it dozens and dozens of times, so I've got a lot of experience in this, first-hand experience. Now, my testimony is, in essence, this, that when everyone was thinking with their hearts and not their heads, instinctively, they all flocked to Canberra, okay, where we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Now, I know the look and the feel of a crowd of 50,000 people, okay? I know the look and I know the feel. I've chaired quite a number of big gatherings, and I lost count after around about 15 times that group. So I got up to around about 750,000 before I lost count. I'm not saying there was 750,000 there. I'm saying I lost count after that. There was still many, many, many more now after that. Now, some people have said 1 million plus, and I think they're correct. Okay, the footage and my professional number counting that I've managed.
Getting the fact that
yes,
a lot of people are missing and forgetting the fact that there were a lot of people that didn't march that day, but were at Epic. They stayed at Epic to clean up the camp or to prepare meals and get everything ready for those coming back. And it wasn't just 1, 2, or a couple of hundred. It was tens of thousands that stayed back at Epic as well. It was a hot day. Some people didn't want to take their little kids out in it. So, mum might have gone on the march or dad might have gone on the march, but somebody stayed home and looked after the kids, so to speak. So when we say, over 1 million people in Canberra, we mean in Canberra. We don't mean, necessarily at the specific moment some of the photos that have been taken show. And if anybody was ever any doubt, there is plenty of photos of Epic and the scale of Epic and how Epic overflowed. And, you've got to say you can keep an awful lot of people in that area. There were an awful lot of people who were outside that area sleeping as well. So, all right. And as I said in the show the other night, where we were joined by Cooker Watch and her crew trolling us, John, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many people turned up in Canberra, because nothing really was achieved, was it?
Look, when the people amassed and got together, and this is no surprise to me, you immediately had a select group move in to take control of it, unelected, not representative, and they moved in to take control of the crowd and to then direct the crowd. The first thing that happened was some pissant move to deliver some letter to Scott Morrison that was never canvassed, never agreed by anyone. So, some lousy pissant that was meant to appease the people, and then the people were then discouraged from participating any further, and they were asked to leave Canberra, which I can tell you right here and now, unbelievable in my eyes. But the biggest criticism that I have, even of that mob who did everything they could to break the crowd up and to break the momentum, but the big problem that I had is that there was no decisions made. There was not one motion, not one motion. Look at every single freedom march in Australia that I have seen, right? To the best of my knowledge, up here in Brisbane, there's been a dozen of them. And the organisers up here have never, not once, ever put a motion up to endorse a course of action. It's been full of drum banging, full of slogans and mantras, but never has any decisions been made, okay? And I believe that's a deliberate ploy. But if you go to Sydney, you go to Melbourne, all the same. There's only ever been one pure organic protest in this country, right? If you leave aside the Canberra protest at its beginnings. At its beginnings, it was utterly organic until it was hijacked. But the only true organic protest in this country was the protest that occurred in Melbourne, and that was from the CFMEU members, which turned from quite a number of thousands of my old union members, and I know a lot of these guys are involved in that, right? That turned from 10, 15,000 union members into 250,000 people the following day, and they literally took over Melbourne. And that's been the only fair dinkum organic protest since we've started this war over these vaccines and so on. And I applaud all those people in Melbourne. Now, a lot of them had to leave Melbourne, leave Victoria after that, because they were being hunted down, and they were having some very serious violent threats of violence being made against them and their family, and they had to leave Melbourne as a consequence of that. But never once at these protests have we seen one motion, one decision, one endorsement. We've seen nothing. You want to talk about disorganisation? You want to talk about waving lots of flags and going around in circles? Well, I'm afraid I've seen a lot of it. I think at this stage of the evolution of the freedom movement, what is critically needed right now is a national log of claims, right? So that we can take all of those claims from all of those components within the freedom movement, and whether the claim is sovereignty, whether the claim is safety, anti-vax, anti-weather geoengineering, anti-chem sprays, but safety, we can move on to those other issues or those other claims that the parts of the freedom movement hold dear, and we need to collate those and bring those together and then do a national ballot, a national vote. So at the very least, it doesn't matter what part of the freedom movement you belong to. It doesn't matter whether or not you know, you're on this side or that side or with this group or with that group. It doesn't matter. As long as we've all got the one log of claims, so we're all pursuing the one goal, okay? And that's badly needed right now, badly needed.
Well, the log of claims is something I wanted to talk about. I guess it is a significant document, maybe for people who don't really understand what a log of claims is. If you haven't been in a union, if you haven't had sort of an organised group that can present something like this, you're probably not familiar with the term. So, John, can you explain what a log of claims, and specifically what we're talking about in this sense?
Look, let me explain it this way, Carl. Look, never in my life, in any dispute that I've ever been involved in or witnessed, and I'm talking hundreds of them, and I'm just flabbergasted with this, but never in my life has, say, any popular movement, any union or any force ever gone in unless things are established. The first one is, what do we want? What do we want? It's no good saying freedom, right? Freedom is a mantra. Freedom is just, you know, what does freedom look like? What does freedom feel like? What does freedom mean, right? So you can't just say, we want freedom, right? Because that's just bullshit. That's empty words, right? So you've got to know what you want. That's the first thing. And then you've got to name who your enemy is, right? You've got to know who we're fighting here, right? Now, if you go around the freedom movement right now and say, who's our enemy? This is what they'll say. They'll say, oh, it's Daniel Andrews. Oh, no, it's Anastasia Palaszczuk. No, it's not. It's the Minister for Health. No, it's not. It's APRA. No, it's not. It's the World Economic Forum. No, it's not. It's the World Health Organization. No, it's not. It's over here. We have not, after 3 years and 100 million man-hours of effort, we have not, up to this point, even named who our enemy is. And after hundreds of millions of hours of marches and all the rest of the stuff that we've done, we still have not crystallized and articulated what our statement of claim is. What our statement of claim, what are we chasing, right? Yeah. Because I can tell you now, some of these celebrity freedom fighters, right, that are up there with big celebrity profiles, right, unlike old Como John, who's just a knockabout, right, they're up saying that the war is over, once the vax mandates are gone and once we can all travel interstate and, once, all this stuff is peeled away, then that's it. It's all over. I hate to tell everybody, no, it's not. No, it's not. The war is not over. The vaxxers are only one component that these globalists, the World Economic Forum and all of their toadies have in store for us. We are surrounded by poisons. Everything we breathe, everything we drink, everything we eat is full of toxic poisons. These bastards have laced nearly everything that we need to sustain ourselves with poisons. All of it, from fluorides to opening a can of baked beans to all the linings, the PDF, whatever the chemical compounds are inside of that, through to, chem sprays and all the shit that they're putting in our air to breathe and so on. So the vaccine debate, yep, I know it's a hot topic and I know it's close to home and I know the body count is very high. It's been heartbreaking. But if anyone thinks that the war is over, that they're going to stop if we can hold them off on the vaxxers, then you are dreaming. Now, what about our soldiers? What about all of our soldiers, our serving soldiers? Now, sure, we might be able to hold off the vaxxers in civilian life,
like
but
we've lost
what about all of our diggers?
Me as well.
Yeah. I mean, what about those fine ladies and lasses inside? They're told you're going to get this vaccine. If you don't, we'll court martial you and you'll never hear the end of it. You know what I mean?
That's not real flash. Oh no, he's back.
Sorry, can you hear me? Carl, is that any better now?
We lost you there for a minute.
Hello?
Yeah, no, we're getting a lot of complaints about the audio, mate. They're saying we're a bit attacked tonight for whatever reason. So I've been having a bit of a look. My connection can't get any stronger than it is. So I don't know what's playing out there tonight. But anyway, we will kick on regardless. It's well, you know, the log of claims is one thing. How do we move that through? Everybody should get to see the log of claims. Who decides what's on the log of claims, and how do we get it in front of people? I guess what step are we in this process?
Look, someone's got to grab this issue by the horns and just deal with it, right? Basically, what needs to happen is one or a small group of people need to grab and their job is to capture and crystallise, right? Not long and not all the waffle, right? But crystallise those claims that are out in the public, that the people of Australia have articulated, and put them into a simple document, a short and very easy to read document, ready for the Australian, and then publish it and get ask the Australian people then to vote on it. Okay, that's what should happen.
So we have, we have a document, the beginnings of a document, don't we? Is that in any kind of position to at least become a working draft yet?
Yes, it is. I've been attempting to draft up, or when I say draft up, I've been attempting to capture the various claims that are out there. Okay, that are out in the public, domain, and to capture and then crystallise them, right? Crystallise the concept, and then to document that. Now I've now gone a fair way into that, and it's now all but ready now for much wider circulation. Okay, and I intend to do that within the next, few days of the next week or so.
Okay, very good. I'm looking forward to seeing where we've sort of stepped it up to. I know we had a little bit to do with it in the beginning, but it's got to pass through quite a few sets of hands, and eventually we want to get it in front of the people so everybody gets a say, and that'll be something I really look forward to trying to push forward with in the coming months, I guess, is the best thing. Let's move on to the future, seeing we're moving to it a little bit. Where's the freedom movement going, John? We've spoken about Canberra and the fractures that emanated from Canberra. We're not over that yet. There's more fracturing to come.
Yes, look, what the result from Canberra was that the unity was shattered. Okay, it was shattered. Now, I say, as someone who is a communist professional and knows all about infiltration and knows all about how to hijack movements, right? Our movement was hijacked and it was deliberately shattered. Now, it has the end result of that was that the movement then reformed. Instead of coming back together as one block, okay, it formed into columns, okay? It formed into columns. And I'll give you an example. You've got a column over here, up and down, long ways, that Graham Hood is the principal celebrity freedom fighter spokesman. You've got another column beside it, and you've got Dave Oneggs, which is the principal celebrity freedom fighter that is the spokesman for that column. And you move over to the next column, you've got the Australia Project, and they are principal spokesman and celebrity governors for that column. So you've got these columns, okay? Now, I believe that in 2023, what we are going to see is as there's more and more and more release of new information, new knowledge, new awareness, I believe you are going to see another split in the freedom movement. But this time it will not be a vertical split. It will be a horizontal split that's going to go across all camps. And by that I mean you're going to see people that are going to awaken, and they're going to be a lot more awakened than other people. And they are going to be like cream. They're going to rise to the top, and they can't be stopped. And if you have a gatekeeper that's trying to hold them down and keep them, down, right, they're going to push past them and rise above them. And I think that's what we can see. Now, the only camp, the only group, the only column that I can see that is trying to pull people upwards and elevate them and get them to ascend is the Australia One crew, led by Ricardo Bossi and his people. They are not trying to keep the lid on discussion. They're not trying to say, oh no, we can't talk about that. That's off limits. They're not. They're trying to encourage, people to grow and to ascend, and they're willing to put anything on the table for discussion, as long as it's based on truth, as long as it's based on fact, and can be and that can be demonstrated. Now, the next one I think is going to be, it's going to be like the cream separating from the whey. I don't want to insult people. I don't want to put be negative in any way. But I'm telling you now, you are going to see enlightened people that are going to rise to the top. Now, let me say this to you, Carl. Let me say this to you. Now, this is the difference, right, in my view, right? You've got a ton of people in the freedom movement that keep saying this mantra, and it's driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts. They're saying there's more of us than there are of them, and they're scared of that. Well, let me tell you this. No, they're not. Our enemies are not scared of our numbers. They could not give a rat's ass about our numbers. They're not scared of us. You understand? In terms of our numbers, right? That does not frighten them. Just like over in Africa, when you see, 1 million wildebeest trying to cross a river, and you see the crocodiles either side of them. Now, the wildebeest outnumber the crocodiles 1,000,000 to 1, but the crocs don't care. They sit there and just pick them off one at a time, and they feast upon them, right? So our enemies, the cabal, they're not frightened of our numbers. Now I think this is great awakening. And I've said this publicly previously. There are two parts to it. One is the external awakening, working out and peeling back the veils about all the that we have all around us, and coming to the truth, right? Okay, about those deceptions. But the real thing that scares us is the other side of this great awakening, and that is discovering who we are, what we really are, and what we're really capable of. You understand? That's what terrifies the cabal, because we are a creation of God. We are a spiritual being, and we do not even know our own power. We don't know what we are capable of. And the cabal and the globalists are terrified that finally we're going to work this out, right? That one, we're going to work out all the deceptions, the external deceptions, corporate media, the advertising, the spin doctors, the body politic with their lies and all that bullshit, right? They're going to work that out. But the real thing that scares them is for humanity to finally discover truly who we are, that we are a divine creature, okay, that's made in the image of God. That scares them more than anything, And that's what we've got to work on.
Yep.
We've got to work on ourselves. Okay.
At the moment, it seems like it's almost like two worlds colliding. I know there's an In Excess song that'll go, everybody will be singing at the moment, but it's like there's two worlds colliding, and every time they bump together, there are sparks. People get grazed and bruised, and then we bounce away from each other just for a little while, and then we come back together again. Is that a fair way of looking at what's happening?
Spot on, Carl. Look, what we're seeing is this. We are two realities. We have two realities in Australia right now. Our reality, which is based on truth, right? It's based on real science, real history, real medicine, right? It's perception, right? Reality. And then we've got all the normies out there which are living a life of a lie, and they don't know that. And so you've got these, millions of us now, whether it's 1 million or 5 million or whatever the case may be, but you've got millions of Australians who know all of this is a lie. You understand me? And then you've got millions of Australians that don't know it's a lie. So you've two realities, and these realities, right, are clashing, right? And that's where all of the broken relationships, the family stress, the workmates, you're losing workmates, is because their reality is clashing against your reality, okay? Now, let me say this, Carl. John Wilson, me, and I know many people that are in this same boat, right? I can no longer live in this fake reality. I can no longer do it. And it's not because I'm a sovereign citizen and, you know, I'm some other group. And I mean, all of that to me is just all fucking bullshit to me. It gets down to me. I cannot live in this fake reality. So when a cop tries to give me a speeding, I'll rip it up and throw it out the window. When a parking, I'll just rip it up and get rid of it. When they send me a fine and all this shit, I can't. It's not because I'm, you know, I want to prove that I'm smart and I'm really smart with law and all that. That's got nothing to do with it for me. It may be with other people, and good luck to them. But for me, it gets down to I cannot live in this fake reality, and they can't force me. And there's now millions of us that are in that position that will not, and it's not a choice anymore for me. I can't do it anymore. I can't. That's why I live on a boat. That's why I can't go and mix in society. That's why I have very few friends. You know, I can't mix with this false reality any longer. I can't live in it. I know it's a fraud, and I can't comply with it. I can't placate it. I can't accommodate it. I can't even pretend anymore. I used to pretend, right? For me to go anywhere up to the grocery shop, I got to tell 10 lies, every day. But, I'm supposed to be a truther. But when I get up there, just to survive in this fake reality without getting into a fist fight, right, I've got to tell bullshit on the way up and on the way back. People talking to me, and just not to get aggressive with them and not to, start arguments. I've got to sort of nod my head and start to agree with them. You know what I mean? Just to go about my business. So I'm at the end of my tether with all this nonsense. It's a fraud. We all know it's a fraud. We all know the legal system's a fraud. We all know the judicial system's a fraud. The policing and law enforcement's a fraud. We know the political system's a fraud. We know the corporate media's a lying fraud. We know all of these institutions in the country are all Freemason frauds. We know all of that. And so I can no longer comply with it. I can't comply with it. I can't live with it. and every day it's a tough gig for me, right? What keeps me going is the fact that I know that we are not only winning this war, but we're winning this war hands down. It's taking as long as it's taking is because the people of Australia have been so bloody slow to come to their senses. That's why it's taking so long.
John, there's a lot of people in the chats. Well, not a lot of people in the chats. There's a few in the chats tonight, but over time, I've spoken to a lot of people who say no big change like we are calling for has ever happened peacefully. People who have wanted this change and have been unarmed have always wound up as cannon fodder. It's only been armed people fighting for their rights that has ever changed anything. Where do we stand? I mean, obviously we are into non-violence at all costs. We don't want people dragging their guns out for any reason. But can the war be won without violence?
Absolutely, Carl. I've published and uploaded a video from a woman who explained this so eloquently, right? The whole system collapses when the critical mass of people turn their back on it, right? Turn their back on it and refuses to recognise it and comply with it, right? Our enemy are energetic vampires. They feed off our misery. They feed off our negative energy. That's and when we conduct ourselves like that, we feed these people. We feed them, right? The way we can't hate our way out of it. We can't vote our way out of it, and we can't fight our way out of this with violence. I am telling you now, if that was the only way out, right, by now, I would have been the first one on the front line saying it. But in my heart, this war is like no other. Now, what do I mean by that? This war is a spiritual war. Now, if you understand that, and if you accept that proposition, right, okay, then the way to fight this is by way of spiritual warfare, right? And that's the way to fight it, and that's the way to win it. You are not going to win it, right? You are not going to win it through revolutionary means. And as an old communist who loves overthrowing, right? I mean, we love going the biff, mate. We love it, right? And as an old trade union official, a national trade union official who's done lots of picket lines, I can assure you, I know what people mean when they say you can't win anything unless you do go the biff. And I've done that, multiple times in my life on picket lines. I mean, I can tell many, many stories about baton charges, horse charges, police dogs, and then being arrested and jailed and all that sort of stuff. I can give, but in this war is like none other in human history. If you want to go back and look in history, you've probably got to go back 1,000 years or more, okay? If you want to get some other war that's comparable to what we are going through now, okay? We are fighting satanic forces here, satanic forces, evil forces, right? And it's a spiritual war. People who do not have that experience or those values can't see this. They can't see it and they can't feel it. But I can. I know the forces that we are up against. Ultimately, they are satanic, ultimately. And these satanic forces feed off our misery. They are energetic vampires. They suck our energy. They feed off our misery. You understand me? They feed off it, love it. That gives them nourishment, right? So we can't win with guns, with knives, with clubs, with violence. I am telling you now, mate, that is not only is it not supported by me, I can tell now if you want to lose this war, adopt those tactics. If you want to lose it, right? We have to form a like a pool of love and a pool of welcoming brotherhood for all the rest of the Australians out there who have been missiled and conned and duped, so that they can fall into our welcoming arms. And we've got to catch them and welcome them into our fold. And as the World Economic Forum and their satanic partners keep piling on the pressure, more and more and more of our brothers and sisters here in Australia are going to abandon this system, right? They're going to abandon it and they're going to drop off. And we've got to be ready to catch them and to bring them into our camp. Our movement is growing exponentially. The opposition on the satanic forces, they are bleeding out. They haven't got long to go. They are bleeding out. And I say, don't feed them. Don't give them any negative energy. Give these bastards nothing. Starve them out. Yep. Starve them out.
Yeah. So, absolutely. All right, mate. Well, looks we seem to have filled in an hour fairly happily. I want to ask you about your new house guest. Well, I should say you've got 3 new house guests.
Look, this is sort of part of my. It's not direct; it's indirect, but it's part of my commitment to all of those beautiful people that are part of the Unite in White, who are supporting our Australian diggers, both present, current diggers, and our past diggers. I've done a public meeting up at Ipswich, and I met a lovely lady. Her name is Rachel, and Rachel was in need of a place to bunk in. Rachel is a former sergeant with the Australian Army, and she's 14 years in the Australian Armed Services. And so I said to Rachel, okay, you can have the back end of the boat. You can bunk in with me and stay as long as you like, and you can be a crew member. I asked her whether or not she could tie some knots, and she knew how to, use an outboard and things like that, and she knows how to do all this sort of stuff. So it's a pleasure to have her aboard, and she's only been here for a short while so far, but she's a lovely, lovely guest, and she's a great crew member, and I'm looking forward to going to see her to do some fishing and crabbing, and also I say to all of my friends down in the freedom movement, please open your hearts and open your houses to our Australian diggers, mate. Look after them however you can. Don't ever let them fall on hard times. They've served us and they've served our country with pride, and if they come upon hard times, then it is our duty, and I can say it is my pleasure, not just my duty, it's my pleasure, because she is a very, very engaging woman, and she's great company. And I would say to all of those people in Australia, go out of your way to look after our serving or former diggers. Open your hearts to them and open your houses if you have to. Do it. Don't regret it. I'm not regretting this one iota, and I don't think I ever will.
I think Veteran Dan's in our
can I make
chat on
one
Rumble tonight. I think I saw him poke his head up earlier. He's one of the blokes I'd like to
give a bit
of a shout out. And he needs a holiday. Yes. What do you need,
well,
John?
if Veteran Dan comes up to... Well, listen, 2 things. If Veteran Dan comes to Queensland, let him know he's always got a boat trip made out in the islands with me. That's the first thing, and tell him I thank him for his service. The second thing is this. My boat guest, Rachel, former sergeant, Australian Army, she has a beautiful 2-year-old cat, that she can't bring aboard the boat because I've got a little Jack Russell Terrier. He loves eating cats. If any of your audience out there would love to give a home to a beautiful tabby cat, please contact me. All the gear, all the eating stuff, bedding, everything comes with it, and no cost. If any money needs to happen to help defray any costs, but it would really. I mean, it's stressing this lady out, mate. It's stressing this lady out that her.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
got 2 dogs. She's got 2 Labradors. She can't bring the cat on board. My dog will eat it. So, if any of your listeners out there could possibly home a cat, please contact me. That's all I wanted to pass on. Thank you, Carl.
All right. Okay. So you can get a hold of John on his Telegram, or you can email me at carl@vofhq.com, and I'll get in touch with John and pass that along. Of course, if you are in the Brisbane or southeast corner of Queensland, that's probably easiest. We'll be able to facilitate travel and arrange for dropping the cat off. I think even I've actually got a cat carrier somewhere, John. So we'll be well sorted if that's what's required. But yeah, if you can take in a homeless pussy, we would be very keen to help. So get a hold of John through his Telegram or me at carl@vofhq.com, and we'll see if we can't find it a new home. Thank you, my friend. Look forward to catching up with you again in the not too distant future. What have you got planned coming up?
I've got to do some further talks and further collaboration with those beautiful angels in Unite and White, and I'm going to be working on this log of claims. So they're the 2 things that I've got going. But in the backdrop to that, which is most important, is getting Dave Guru and Ricardo Bosi inside of the New South Wales Upper House. So they're my projects. They're my projects.
All right, mate. Well, video number 1 run and done, and 70-odd thousand views and counting. So tremendous work on that. And obviously, whenever we want to get together and do something else, looking forward to that too. Thanks for coming on tonight, John. Look forward to catching up again soon.
My pleasure, mate, and my pleasure to your beautiful audience. We'll talk again soon.
Excellent, mate. Great. Good on you. There's John. Well, sorry about the connection issues tonight. We seem to be struggling with connection issues for some reason, and I've paired everything back to, well, just the bare basics. That's essentially what's working. And I'm showing really good signal strength, but there are issues in other parts. So I'll have to go back and see what we can find out. Thanks to John for coming on and joining us tonight. And thanks for you for coming along tonight and having a bit of a chat. Tomorrow night, it's Friday, isn't it? God, that'll make it a free-for-all. I am trying to get a guest on from America, time zones being what they are at the moment, not easy. And he has other commitments we're trying to squeeze in between. But with a little bit of luck, I'll have a guest from the States on at some stage. It may not be for the Friday free-for-all. It might be something we wind up doing on Sunday. But stick around for that. He'll have a lot of interesting news, I am absolutely sure. Thank you to everybody who joined us tonight on Rumble. I'm just trying to scan through a few of the things here. Ryan B. with so it does seem that we have had quite a few interesting trolls turned up tonight in a number of places. Woohoo, good for you. Nobody cares. It looks like Tasha's given her best, so good on her. All right, folks, so I'll love you and leave you. It does look like everything is starting to grind to a bit of a halt, so I will try and make this as short as possible. If you are thinking about where your vote should go in New South Wales, please, folks, consider Bosie, consider Dave Graham. It's a great protest vote, and they will certainly be working for the people if they're voted into the upper house of New South Wales. Go and give them a good look. There is some other interesting news that might come out in the next couple of hours or in the next month. Who knows? Nobody knows. Time and dates and all those sorts of things. I'm not here for that sort of stuff. But watch the markets is what I'm saying at the moment. There are some interesting rumblings coming out of New York, and it's also some interesting rumblings going on in the crypto world. So we're going to dig a little deeper into what's going on in crypto, and we will have another chat with the folks from QSI on Saturday night. Jane and Jim, you might recall, came on last week and gave us 2 hours of education on what's what in the zoo, so to speak. I've since done a little bit more education myself, and we're going to have some interesting questions to ask coming up on Saturday night. Look forward to seeing you there then, if that's the way it should be. Congratulations to everybody who tried very hard to keep up with Caucus tonight. I think you did a magnificent job. Just in case you Phils missed it earlier, here is the definition. Caring, observant, open-minded, knowledgeable, educated, and rational. All the things you tards aren't. So sad. Anyway, be safe on the roads, folks. You know that there are an awful lot of people out there who are, well, commonly known as Richard heads. Just see what you can do as best you can to stay away from them. We're trying as hard as we can. It's harder to avoid them online, though, isn't it?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!